Warning to all you fight fans out there. Grab your aviators and your sunblock because we are headed back to Fight Island. That's right, the first card on Fight Island Part 2 starts this weekend with not one, but 2 titles on the line. Let's talk about them right now. What is up, Barnhill family? Welcome back. As you can see, I'm still riding solo on this one. My big bro will be back for the next video, mark my words. But we got such an amazing card coming up this weekend. I got to give you my predictions. I mean, this is the best way that the UFC could kick off Fight Island Part 2. We got Israel Adesanya fighting Paulo Costa for that middleweight title. Fantastic fight, both undefeated fighters. We got Jan Blachowicz fighting Dominick Reyes. What an amazing fight for the vacant title. The most deserving 2 fighters in the light heavyweight division. Super excited for that one. And then we got a decent card under them. We got directly under them, Kai Kara France. We got the flyweights, so you're going to see a ton of speed. It's going to be like a lag in the system from the 125ers to the 205ers, but it'll still be a great fight. He's taking on Brandon Royval. And that should be a very entertaining matchup. Right under them, they've got Ketlin Vieira taking on Sijara Eubanks. And then Hakeem Dawodu is going to be taking on Zubaria Tukhogov. I might have gotten a couple of those names wrong. Probably didn't, but if I did, forgive me. I'll have them right next time. But I wanted to give you guys my predictions and talk a little bit about this main card, or this main fight and this co-main event, because these 2 titles, I mean, they mean a lot right now in the UFC. Let's start right there at the top. Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa. I mean, without a doubt, the right 2 guys are in there for that title. Obviously, one is coming in with the belt already in Israel Adesanya, but Paulo Costa is pretty undeniable. I mean, he was actually slated to get the title shot last time, but he, due to an injury, he couldn't take that. So Izzy called out the one guy that nobody calls out in Yoel Romero. And that was a perfect matchup. It was actually a boring fight for the most part. A lot of people were kind of angry. They said Izzy didn't engage, but I would have to say that I disagree with that. I think Yoel Romero was the one that didn't really engage, and I think that was a missed opportunity for Yoel. It was probably his last opportunity at the 185 title. Who knows what they might do if he moves up to 205 and has some success there. But if I was him, I would have come with a slightly different game plan. Izzy did say that to beat somebody at a high level, you have to present them with things that they've never seen before. And he admitted that he had never seen anybody do what Yoel Romero did, which was stand there and not move. The first 2 or 3 minutes of that fight was literally one man standing still with his hands up and Izzy kind of bouncing around trying to get a feel for it, but he was just as shocked as all of us, and everybody was booing. Everybody was angry, rightfully so. But for the first minute or so, it was kind of entertaining, kind of funny. But then after that, we were like, all right, cut the crap. Let's see you guys actually fight. And then you see right at the end of the round, which I believe Yoel Romero stole that round, as soon as Izzy decided, okay, I'm going to give the fans what they want, I'm going to start to engage, Yoel comes with a bomb of an overhand, I think it was an overhand right, and he just landed flush on Izzy's face, and that made Izzy realize, okay, this is not somebody I'm just going to run in on and take my game plan, throw it out the window, and then come with like a more of a brawler's game plan. Can't do that with Yoel Romero. He probably would have lost the fight if he would have continued to do that. So he decided to get creative, use distance, use range, and just stay away. And I have a feeling after round 1, Izzy Adesanya knew that he wasn't going to be finishing Yoel Romero in that fight, and he needed to take his belt all the way through to the later rounds and then get a decision by the judges, which is exactly what he did. It was a smart game plan. Might not have been the most entertaining fight, but come on. Izzy is always entertaining. He's always must-see TV, and if he has one dud every now and again, I think we can forgive him. But there's a lot to unpack with him, with Izzy Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is absolutely a knockout specialist. 13-0, 12 wins by knockout. I guess the last one, if I'm right, is a submission. If I'm wrong, it was a decision, but I'm pretty sure he has finishes in all of his fights, mostly coming by way of heavy hands and knockouts. So I've had some people reach out and they're like, Costa's going to run over Izzy. He's a black belt where Izzy is only like a purple belt or something. And, while that might be true, and I would venture to say that if they strapped up a gi, Izzy Adesanya would probably get submitted by Paulo Costa. This is not a jiu-jitsu match. This is not a grappling match. This is a MMA fight. And judging by history, Paulo Costa fancies himself a striker much more than he fancies himself a grappler or a submission artist in MMA. I'm sure he has all the submissions in the world that he could use, but that requires a high level of wrestling to get Izzy on the ground, which, by the way, Yoel Romero had a very tough time doing. And obviously, Yoel Romero is a more decorated, better wrestler than Paulo Costa. Maybe not the submission artist that Paulo is, but when it comes to taking people down, and especially in MMA, Yoel Romero is as good as it gets. And Izzy showed us that he can absolutely hang in defending those kind of takedowns. Fantastic job doing that, and I feel like Izzy's only getting better at those types of things. We knew he was a great striker. Now we're starting to realize that he's very smart and able to approach his weaknesses in his game, which we all have, and learn and grow. And he's getting better and better and better at the things that people say that he's not good at, which, obviously he's doing something right if he can stop Yoel Romero from taking him down. If you don't think he's doing a good job at that, why don't you try to let Yoel Romero not take you down? Probably be a tough night out. But Paulo Costa is, in my opinion, going to come out and he's going to strike with Izzy. And I think the first two rounds maybe, are going to be a very vicious, high intensity knockout. Look for the whack-a-mole type of thing. He's going to come in there and try to absolutely knock Izzy's head out of the cage. Can he do it? Yes, of course. Izzy's very hard to hit, though. So if he can find Izzy's chin, I think, we have some problems there for Izzy, because I don't know exactly how many big shots from Paulo Costa Izzy can take. I don't know if anybody can really take that many. The guy is a monstrous 185er. Probably will see the 205 division at some point, maybe even the heavyweight division at some point in his career. But I think Izzy is going to realize that the gas tank and the cardio that it requires somebody like Paulo Costa to, keep energy in all of those muscles and the oxygen it takes to fill up a body like that. It's just science. He's not able to keep the cardio that Izzy takes. Izzy is a thin guy. He's shown great cardio in 5-round matches before. And while, Paulo Costa has fought 5 rounds before and he's gone the distance with a few people, his gas tank was going at the same level that Yoel Romero's was going down. So you didn't really see a contrast in gas. What you will see in this fight, if it gets into the later rounds, which I predict it will, is Izzy's gas tank not going anywhere, not going near as quickly as Paulo Costa's gas tank. I think Yoel and Costa's kind of drained at the exact same time, so the fight didn't have that contrast. This one, you will see a difference come rounds 3, 4, and definitely 5. You will see that Izzy will have more energy, and it's just harder for a big guy like Costa to go into those later rounds, which is why I think it's hurricane season right now, and he's going to bring a hurricane of a storm to Izzy and try to get him out of there in the early parts of this fight, try to knock him out with some big, heavy hands, and, he can definitely do that. I think Izzy understands that's what's going to happen. I would assume, if I'm Izzy's coach, that you might need to concede round 1, maybe round 2, and just run a little bit. Not run as in put your track shoes on and get out of the way, but play a lot of defense. Don't engage in and really start to feel him out. Maybe attack his legs a little bit to slow him down on those explosive movements that he likes to do. Costa will come at you 1,000,000 miles an hour. He's like a drag race car. He's going to sprint, and then he's going to lap around the track. And then he's going to sprint again, and he's going to lap around the track nice and slow. That's how some fighters like that. Robert Whittaker comes to mind when you think of people that do that. Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa is no different. For me, this fight is perfect. It's a typical absolute monster of the guy looks like $1 million versus a thin guy that's long, that's lanky, that knows how to strike and uses range really well. And I think it has all the makings to be a classic fight. Dana White was saying this could be fight of the year. I could see it going that way if it goes the way I'm assuming it will, which is a 4 or 5 round battle with a finish at the end. But I would love to know what you guys think about that one, because if this fight gets finished early, it's going to be finished by Paulo Costa. If it goes past round 3, round 4, into round 5, my money goes all the way over to Izzy Adesanya, and he's going to pick him apart. And then I think if there's a late finish, it's 100% going to Izzy. And that leads me to my prediction. I think my prediction would have to go with Israel Adesanya playing it cool in the round 1 and 2, getting him into deeper waters where his gas tank starts to go. He starts to pick him apart a little bit and take some of his movement away. And we see a 5th round TKO by Izzy Adesanya. He's going to drop him or something and then be able to finish him. I don't think he cold knocks him out, but I think he does get the finish in the very late part of this fight. Super excited for it. I can't wait to see this fight. I'm just jazzed up. Fight Island is coming in with a banger on this one. And if the main event wasn't enough for you, the fight right before that is also for a title. And we got Dom Reyes, who, in my opinion, and I was at this fight live in Houston, beat Jon Jones. Obviously, the judges that actually matter, their opinion was different from mine. But I will tell you, from a person that was in the stands watching that fight, it was a pro Jon Jones crowd. When I showed up in Houston, everybody was booing Dom Reyes. Everybody was cheering Jon Jones. And it was like a Rocky IV moment where the Russians started cheering for Rocky. It was the exact same thing. Round 1, every time John would land, everybody would laugh at Dominick, boo him on the way to the crowd. By the time round 4 and 5 went, everybody was cheering for Dominick Reyes. It was such a crazy moment. Like, to witness it live was really something special. And then, of course, when the judges came out with their decisions and they named Jon Jones the winner of that fight, it was a roaring boo. From the top of the Houston Toyota Center to the bottom and all the way around. Everybody in there. And maybe Jon Jones even booed for it. No, I'm kidding. But everybody thought Dominick Reyes won that fight. I realize it was a close fight. I'm not saying it was a highway robbery, but I do think that Dom won that fight, and that just speaks volumes about his skills and how far he's come in this sport. And he's obviously the right guy for the vacant title that Jon Jones has given up. I knew he would fill that slot. And judging by Jan Blachowicz' last few competitions, he was clearly the number 1 contender to fight for that vacant title as well. I mean, you go back and look at their records. They've beaten the who's who, the absolute who's who. Volkan Ozdemir for Dominick Reyes, that is. Chris Weidman, who came up, who was former champion. And then you got Jan Blachowicz knocking people out left, right, and center. Luke Rockhold, who also came up like Weidman and couldn't handle the pressure. You've just got the right 2 guys in there, and there's a lot to be said for momentum. And I think Jan Blachowicz has some good momentum on his side, and I think he has all the potential to win this and be the second Polish champion behind Joanna Jędrzejczyk. But Dominick Reyes, in my opinion, was this close to the belt. I feel like he closed his eyes and could see them wrapping the belt around his waist after that Jon Jones fight. It didn't happen. He feels like he got robbed, and I'm sure he's going to have a hell of a chip on his shoulder going into this next fight, and he's going to be one determined fighter. And I think what we're going to see in this fight is a very calculated fight. Anytime there's a vacant title on the line, both the guys realize what's at stake. There's so much that comes with being a UFC champion. And I would have to go back and look at the stats, but I would venture to say most vacant title fights, so titles that are on the line for both guys, there's nobody walking in with the title, end in draws. I don't know if that's a factual statement or not, but you watch these guys when they know there's a title on the line and nobody's walking in with the belt, they'll do anything they can, even if that means a less entertaining fight, a little bit more of a strategy match, and trying to just get edge past their opponent and get the win. No matter what, come hook or crook, they want to get that belt, which is why I am personally predicting that this fight goes to the judges. I think both guys clearly have knockout power, but they're not going to really let their guns go and compromise their stance, compromise their balance, or do anything that's going to set them up to get knocked out. At 205, anybody can knock anybody out. And both of these guys know that this is the most important fight of their lives, and they're going to be very strategic. They're going to be very cerebral with their approach, and they realize just how tough one another are. They're going to have to do some thinking. They're going to have to get very creative, which is why I'm predicting a 5-round war for the 205 title. And I've been back and forth on this one. This one's very hard for me. If it wasn't for a vacant title, if it was just for one of these guys' title that's on the line, my money would lean towards Jan Blachowicz, because he's been on a streak. He's knocking everybody out. He's got that crazy Polish power, but I don't know if he has quite the skill level and the and the gas tank that Dominick Reyes has for the 5-round battle. I think Dom just went 5 rounds with the best fighter that's ever done it, and people think he won that fight. So in the long run, I am going to pick Dominick Reyes to win this fight in a decision to become the light heavyweight champion of the world. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a hell of a fight, but I just see him getting it done. I think he has all the makings to be a star. You know, he's one of these guys that's tough. His only loss is to the greatest of all time, and that was controversial. So I'm going to go with Dominick Reyes gets a unanimous decision victory. Thanks to the judges, he's going to earn probably 3 rounds to 2. That's my prediction. Would love to know what you guys think. And those two, I mean, talk about a stack card. It's a little bit top heavy. I'll understand that, but you got a stacked card on your hands, because anytime there's 2 titles on the line and they're of this magnitude, you understand when the rest of the card isn't quite as strong. So following up the co-main event, or right before, I should say, we have Kai Kara-France, who is one of Izzy Adesanya's training partners, much smaller guy. I don't think they do much sparring together, seeing as he's 125 and Izzy's 185. But he's taking on Brandon Royval, and this is going to be a 205 match. Both guys in their last showings have been pretty good. Win or loss, it doesn't really matter. There's not a ton of knockout power down there, especially for these guys. I think they both want to earn that extra knockout bonus, that $50,000, and I think they've even come out and said that. But which obviously, who doesn't? But I think I'm going to give it to this is a hard one for me. I'm going to go with City Kickboxing's Kai Kara-France. Just, they've got momentum. I'm really basing this off the gym. Their gym has something magic happening in it right now. It's something special when you're training every day with Israel Adesanya, Dan Hooker, Alexander Volkanovski. I would assume Kai Kara-France is getting rounds in with Alexander Volkanovski, which is absolutely the right kind of style that he needs to be a high-level 125er. So I think this is probably going to be a decision, because these guys don't really have a ton of knockout power. They're both known a little bit more for their jiu-jitsu and their grappling. I think they're both going to negate each other's grappling. It's going to be a 3-round fight, and we're going to see the judges give it to Kai Kara-France. Would love to know what you think about that one. The females in the bantamweight division. We got Ketlin Vieira and Sijara Eubanks. Correct me if I'm saying those wrong, but I think I got them right. Again, I don't really see this one going knockout. I don't really see these ladies finishing each other. They both have some decision wins in their record. They both have some losses, and Sijara Eubanks, she's lost to some of the bigger, better named fighters in the bantamweight division, but something tells me that Keatlin Vieira is going to get the job done. She's 10-1, and I think this one also will be a decision. It looks like there's going to be a lot of decisions on this card. I don't know. I could be way off on that, but I think she's going to fight smart, and I think she'll probably get a win over Sijara Eubanks. And but my money's on it going decision. And then the curtain jerker, the first fight on the main card is Hakeem Dawodu and Zibara Tukhugov. I think that fight definitely has the hardest names to pronounce of anybody on the card, which is saying a lot because there's some pretty interesting names on here. But this is another fight where you got two guys with great records. 19-4 for Zukara, and he's a Chechenian guy, I'm pretty sure. He has like the Khabib beard and stuff. Seems pretty scary, especially for 145. You know, he's like a mini Zabit. And then Hakeem Dawodu, another stud at 145. He's 11-1. You know, this one I've been back and forth on as well. Both of them have knockouts. Hakeem has a higher knockout rate of 7 out of his 11 wins, and Zubara has 7 as well out of 19 wins, but he's known more for his submissions, I believe. So I think this fight is neither of these guys really seem like the type that like to go gung-ho and try to go for the knockout. That being said, I think maybe we see a submission by Zabura Tukhugov, and I think he just has a little bit more experience. He's fought about twice as many times as Hakeem Dawodu, and I think that'll work out for him in the long run. He'll probably get a rear naked choke. That's just my prediction. Second round rear naked choke to start the night. Super excited for this one, and that kind of rounds off the card. This is Fight Island Part 2, the first card of which, and we only got bangers from here on out, and I can't wait to discuss the rest of those with you guys. My brother, my co-host, the man, will be back in the next video. Mark my words on that. He got home safely from New Orleans. Happy for him. And, yeah, that being said, enjoy the fights. Drop a comment. Let me know who you think's going to win the main event. Let me know who you think's going to win the co-main event. And if you're really interested in the other 3 fights on the main card, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about my thoughts. So thank you for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe. We greatly appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.